what motivates you to, go to this nursing profession?
I think you must have known that I'm a
ma'am.
dropout of a mechanical
Yes, ma'am.
engineering. So I would proudly say that I didn't choose nursing, nursing chose me.
Hello everyone. It's a very very lovely day today, and myself Miss Karishma Khan representing nursing team from Apollo Hospitals Guwahati. This day is very very lovely because we have today with us a very special lady, very lovely lady, stalwart of nursing profession, whom we also say a celebrity from the nursing profession, who has served the nation, a president awardee. That is none other than Captain Dr. Usha Banerjee ma'am, Group Director Nursing, Apollo Hospitals Group. Welcome ma'am to this very very special discussion, and I believe so that when we finish this discussion today, we'll go back with a tons of motivation and encouragement and the courage and the things you carry forward in your life so that the viewers will take forward and will implement in their life. How are you doing ma'am today?
Well, Karishma, that's very, very kind of you to have introduced me in that note. It's such a joy to be seated here opposite such young aspirants and the future of the profession. I'm feeling very, very privileged, very honored, and very happy to be talking to you. And I hope the young nurses who hear this podcast will be motivated to aspire to do their best in the profession.
Yes, ma'am, truly. Ma'am, this is definitely not your first visit to this place of this country. You have visited earlier as well. So how do you, ma'am, like visiting Guwahati? So do you carry any special memory from this part of the country or anything favorite of yours from this part of the country?
Well, being an Indian, we're all very proud of the fact that there exists a beautiful state called the Northeast state. And my association with this state is my teacher who taught me fundamentals of nursing, and she was my class teacher, belonged to this part of the world.
Nice to know that, ma'am.
And today I am who I am because she taught us the fundamentals. So right from my very young formative days, I have been associated here. And I have come here on holidays. I've been to various parts of this state, and I think the people, the environment, the greenery, the warmth that you experience here, and of course a lot of landmarks that stand testament to this state is what brings me back here. And of course the Apollo Guwahati hospitals lures me to come back again and again.
Yeah, ma'am. We actually want to have that again and again, your visit. Ma'am, any specific place other than hospital from, Northeast, which you admire to visit again and again?
Well, I think the neighborhood here, Meghalaya.
Yes.
I would love to go back to that state again and again. It's so beautiful. In Guwahati, I've not been to the Kaziranga, but I have been to Pobitara.
Yes.
And I can't forget my encounters with the rhnos up close.
Yes, ma'am. Very exciting. That was also.
These are lovely places I would love to come back and see again.
Yes, ma'am. So, we also feel very proud belonging from this place, and we would also like you to come again and again. We actually wait for this moment, and you are here after 2.5 years. And we used to wait when next ma'am will come and next ma'am will visit.
Karishma, not 2.5 years, 1.5 years.
1.5 years.
Less than 1.5
less
actually.
than 1.5 years. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I always tell people when I retire, I have this pleasant duty of visiting all my nurses. So I don't think it's going to be too far where I might come and stay with you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely, ma'am. Ma'am, I have heard you since 2014, and that time itself you have spoken about Vision 2020. And that time I was thinking, the lady who speaks so fearlessly, so boldly, and you spoke so, I don't know how to explain that. Ma'am, many nursing professionals who would like to be like you, like me, and I know many of my colleagues who is hearing now, and they want to be somewhere near to you, the way Captain Usha ma'am is to talk and the work and everything. So ma'am, what motivates you to, go to this nursing profession, and what all are the advices you will give to the upcoming generation to be that stalwarts or to be that bold and fearless a professional body? so that we can make something difference and for the profession.
Well, Karishma, you must have heard my earlier, I don't say a podcast, but wherever I have presented myself, I think you must have known that I'm a
ma'am.
dropout of a mechanical
Yes,
engineering program.
Yeah.
So I would proudly say that I didn't choose nursing, nursing chose me. And I also say that I was destined to do well. I was destined to succeed. I was destined to give back to the profession and to healthcare at large. So that is what brought me into nursing. Two, I've come from a very disciplined background. My parents were from the army. My school was an army school.
Yes, ma'am.
I joined the military nursing at a very young age. So I am who I am because they were the architects of my life. And right from childhood to who I am today, I think the whole motto and purpose has been to be an advocate for the profession,
Yes,
whichever you choose. And I'm in the nursing profession. So my job is to fearlessly advocate for healthcare, for good clinical outcomes, but also for the welfare and the betterment of my profession. So when you're chosen as the leader to do so, I think it's very important for you to understand that you need to have a fearless voice. For that, you need to be a strong advocate, for which I think knowledge is supreme.
Yes.
Hard work, dedication, a vision for the future, like you said.
Yes, ma'am.
In 14, I used to say 2050 and now 2020, and now I say 2050.
2050, true.
Correct? We are at 24 and another
Yes.
25, and another 25 years later, we are 2050.
2050.
So I think as a leader, you should be able to visualize what the future holds, not only for your people, but for the ecosystem at large. And I think today, everything is an enabler. You have a lot of information which you can seek. You can do a lot of good work. So I think to the young generation, I feel you must seize the opportunity. Today is a borderless world with boundless opportunities. And knowledge is always the governing factor. So just go out there and conquer.
Yes, ma'am. Very, very truly speaking. So for the viewers, as ma'am correctly said, to be any profession, we need to advocate for the professions. We need to own the professions. And for that, knowledge is the key. And, opportunities are plenty. It is like, it is everywhere. Only thing is, it depends on the individuals, how we grab the opportunity and we walk the path. So it is very, very important to, acquire knowledge and skills as well, because healthcare environment is booming with, as ma'am said, there are so many opportunities, technologies are developing, so many things are there for us. We can just pick up and we need to own it and we need to advocate for it. I think that's what ma'am I heard, and for the viewers as well. Ma'am, thank you so much for those, words of encouragement. Ma'am, today you are at Guwahati, and you from morning onwards you are interacting with our nurses, with our team. So, this team, I have joined, from the time I have joined, I have seen that this team could receive Nursing Excellence Award. We could receive some award for research and publications. We have received many appreciations, from customers, and we are able to see that there is reduction of customer complaint as well. So, ma'am, we would like to hear from you, what we all are doing all about, and are we making some difference? Could we make some difference in the professions or, for the clinical outcome of the patient? So we would like to hear from you about, Guwahati team, nursing team at Guwahati.
Okay, before I touch upon the Guwahati team, I must acknowledge the efforts of the nursing teams at Apollo.
Yes, ma'am.
And when our chairman founded Apollo, he put the nurse as the logo.
Yes, ma'am.
That's such a visionary approach. Many, many decades ago, if chairman could think that way, I think it's important that I, as a head of nursing, breathes life into the logo, and that's been my endeavor. And if today every single nurse who practices at the Apollo can feel extremely confident and say that They are very critical to the clinical outcomes. They are critical to patient safety, to quality, to accreditations, to the reputation of the organization, to the reimbursement of the organization, and of course to the clinical practice of every doctor. And at Apollo, we cherish the fact that we have standardized a lot of our initiatives, and there is a camaraderie that has evolved between the teams. And you are a young nurse, you're part of many initiatives
Yes,
that
ma'am.
we have rolled out. So I'm very, very proud to lead the Apollo team. And now coming to Apollo Guwahati is not very old in the Apollo ecosystem.
True, ma'am.
And I'm so glad that you caught up in the race. You know, if you were compared to the many hospitals that were set up much earlier, you had to do a lot of hard work to catch up. So you've calibrated your speed, you've accelerated your pace, and you've really leapfrogged into the league.
Yes.
And I'm happy. That doesn't come easily. It comes with a lot of hard work, dedication, conviction. And today, you stand as a testament to become one of the benchmarks for the Apollo group, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
And what makes you special is something which I hold very precious in my heart. Somehow, the nurses here, they look so gorgeous, they look so good, they speak so well, and they carry themselves so well, then that in itself becomes a differentiator. And of course, all that we have rolled out seems to get embedded very quickly.
Ma'am, here I'll pause you, little bit, because the things ma'am said, the carry ourselves, this is because of the initiative which ma'am has created, the brand call you. There is, for the viewers, there is one, very special toolkit which madam has created, that is called brand call you. And I think we have engulfed all those points from there, ma'am, from the toolkit, starting from the uniform, how to carry ours, and in the grooming, like ABC of grooming you have created. And there, not only the look, but how we have to communicate, that also you have drafted so well, ma'am. And I think we could, our nurses could implement it, and that's all because of your creation, ma'am.
Yes, Karishma, I think it's important for a leader to create. But there's a lot that happens only when it is implemented with that in letter and spirit. And I see that implemented here.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Number two, I really, really am fond of the fact that you all go an extra mile. Let me take the example of a nurse-led clinic. That's been one of my biggest dreams, that you have a clinic where doctors will refer nurses, and nurses will hold specialist roles in running that clinic. And they get remunerated too.
Yes.
And I think this was offered to the entire group, and you were the ones to pick it up first.
Okay, ma'am, you have mentioned about nurse-led clinic. So for our viewers, because lots of people are watching you today, and will you please elaborate a little bit how it can impact, the patient health, or when they go back home, because that was the motto of your aim was that when patient go back home, how do they take care of themselves? So how this nurse-led clinic can impact the community or the patient outcome at home after discharge?
Well, we all know that doctors don't have so much of time to explain a lot of things to the doctors. And I think they should be relieved of that kind of a responsibility while they engage with patients, because they have busy practice and they are the experts there. And nurses, being equally important partners in that care, can take away a lot of responsibilities by spending time at the patient's side and engaging with patients and teaching, demonstrating, re-demonstrating has a larger impact on the patient. If they have understood their care process very well, we know there is good adherence to treatment plans, and there is very less chances of non-compliance, and the outcomes are good. So in a nurse-led clinic, it is very empowering for the patient and also empowering for the nurses. And I think many hospitals do it, may not be under the title of a nurse-led clinic, but giving it a formal name and monetizing it and empowering nurses to run a clinic within a private corporate setup, in my opinion, is very futuristic.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so for the viewers, I'll just translate it a little bit into our local language. Nurse-led clinic, Apollo Hospital Guwahatiৰ এটা নতুন পদক্ষেপ, য'ত নেকি বহুত ক্ষেত্ৰত ৰোগীসকল ঘৰলৈ যাব লগা হয়, যেনেকৈ কেথেটাৰ, ইউৰিন কেথেটাৰ বা ফিডিং টিউব লগাই পিনি বা কিছুমান ড্ৰেইন লগাই পিনি পেচেণ্ট ঘৰলৈ যাব লগা হয়। চ' যিখিনি ক্ষেত্ৰত তেখেতসকলক কিছুমান কেয়াৰ গিভাৰৰ দৰকাৰ হয় বা কেনেকৈ কৰিব লাগে তেখেতসকলক শিকাবলৈ কোনো বুজাবলৈ কোনো মানুহ নাথাকে। চ' তেনে ক্ষেত্ৰত এপ'ল' হস্পিটেল গুৱাহাটীত নাৰ্ছ লেড ক্লিনিকৰ জৰিয়তে আমাৰ স্পেচিয়েলাইজ নাৰ্ছে সেইখিনি ডেমনষ্ট্ৰেশ্যন কৰি দেখুৱাই দিয়া হয়, গোটেই প্ৰচিডিউৰখিনি ষ্টেপ বাই ষ্টেপ, যাতে পেচেণ্টৰ পৰিয়ালে ঘৰত গৈ সেই নিজেই মানে ছেফ মেনাৰ, একো যাতে বিপদ নহয়, পেচেণ্টৰ একো যাতে অসুবিধা নহয়, তেনেকৈ পেচেণ্টক কেয়াৰ কৰিব পাৰে। চ' আপোনালোকে যদি নাজানে নাৰ্ছ লেড ক্লিনিক আমাৰ এপ'ল' হস্পিটেল গুৱাহাটীটো নতুন পদক্ষেপ, আপোনালোকে ইয়ালৈ আহিব পাৰে। Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, you have also sent us lots of appreciation notes, like through video. So I remember during Nurses Day time, we are always privileged that we always get in video, and entire people who celebrate the Nurses Day there, not only nurses, they say that Usha ma'am always talks so good about nurses, like they ma'am say so smart and everything, and we are very proud to hear all those things actually. Ma'am, as you have also inaugurated today our simulation lab, these are also your creation. You push us and we go one step further and one step further, and I think we are going to continue to be in this journey. Ma'am, coming to gossiping with you, it should not be actually never ending process, but I cannot buy all of your time. So ma'am, currently the Apollo Hospital Guwahati is becoming like a gateway, because Guwahati city is the gateway for entire northeast states, and Apollo Guwahati is not only seeing now patients from northeast, we are also getting patients from Bangladesh, Myanmar, so it is becoming like a healthcare hub for Southeast Asia region also. So ma'am, what will be your opinion or what will be your suggestion towards our nursing team, how we should prepare ourselves to go ahead, or the healthcare things will be very challenging. We have to take care of international patients, technologies are getting that developed. So how should we prepare ourselves, ma'am, to combat that, because this is going like a bullet train, we need to catch that speed. So what should be your suggestion, and how do we tell us that how should we prepare ourselves?
Well, Karishma, I think for me, having more than 35 years of experience in the profession, I have seen the evolution of a revolution. And I'm very proud to say that I have seen those times and I see today's times too. And I'm happy to see the transition. Very, very happy to see the transition, because nurses are today very inclusive in everything that a hospital does. And I'm very happy that the landscape has changed from being very orthodox, traditional, patriarchal, to being very modern, very futuristic, very inclusive. And I think it's the right time. If we don't encash on this opportunity today, I think we'll become extinct. Like you said, it's all speeding up like a bullet train. And I think the only way nurses can keep step with this fast pace, accelerated growth, is by being extremely competent. And I'm glad you've seen, 20 years back, the kind of clinical work we did versus what we do today. It's all high-end, breakthrough, first of its kind, revolutionary, innovative, groundbreaking. And Apollo will always bring it first to the country.
True, ma'am.
We are the leaders, and we have that opportunity. So I think how nurses can keep pace is updating their knowledge. We should never stop reading. We should constantly upgrade not only the knowledge, our skills. And there's so much we can acquire today. It's all in your palm, on a mobile phone, assisted by AI and any simulation that you desire. And as an enterprise, we bring a lot of learning here, right to to the nurse. You don't have to seek it. So for me, I think the time has arrived. Now it is in our hands whether we really want to catch the bus or you want to miss the bus. And if we miss the bus, somebody else will be in our place doing the work that we are supposed to do. So don't lose that opportunity. So it's a beautiful future. I'm very, very optimistic. I have seen the change. I've lived to see the change. I don't think any one of us ever thought that we would see a pandemic in our lifetime. And we sailed through it because we had good processes. Our infection control processes has been one of our biggest strength to overcome the pandemic. So just prepare.
Yes. So exactly, ma'am said, like a future is, we can always see our future, like with development of technology, AI, and what's all. So we should continue reading. We need to be educated, not trained. So as ma'am correctly said, that we need to be knowledgeable how much knowledge we have, and then only we can build our competencies. So if we are competent in every field, then we can grab all those opportunity, and like there is no fear, there is no look back that I cannot do this or we cannot do this. We can do it. There is nothing impossible. A nurse, even in bedside, can be a leader for a patient. We can be an advocate. So these all can only happen if we prepare ourselves. This should come from within. We need to be knowledgeable. We need to seek, like educating ourselves continuously for our growth and development. Ma'am, lastly, I will not take much time of you, definitely. It was your dream to have some, different designation for nurses, and we could see that dream coming true. And we are very proudly wearing nowadays the nameplate with, different designation. And people are asking across that, oh my God, what is this you are wearing? So, ma'am, it became a dream come true. So, ma'am, for the future generation or who did not opt nursing yet, who is still studying, 11, 12 or something. So, how this career pathway can, show them a path that, yes, go to nursing. This is something different. Ma'am, can you please tell something about this to the viewers?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, today the roles are changing. There are more options for a nurse to do multiple things within the profession. I used to feel very sad when people left the profession and they wanted only, a white collar, blue collar, golden collar jobs. They didn't want to really care for the patient, which is the ethos and the fundamental of our profession. Many nurses who are very, very good at the bedside quit the profession just because they didn't have growth, they didn't have designation. Once a staff nurse, you remain a staff nurse. So for me, I think I have been processing this in my mind for many, many years. And gladly, our leadership, especially Dr. Madhu, who's just joined us recently, our promoters, and Mr. Mayank, who's the HR head with whom I discussed, and of course there were others who worked at the back end earlier, have accepted that this is going to be probably a little game-changing. And it's good for the nurses. And I'm very, very happy that today, if a nurse continues to work at the bedside, she can grow right up to my level. She doesn't have to quit her bedside role to become successful in the career. And to all the youngsters who are in the schools and colleges, I think people should understand that healthcare will always have jobs. It never runs out of jobs. And even in the pandemic, when everybody sat at home, I think
we had the privilege to work and care.
We had our salaries. We are looked after well, and especially nurses.
Yeah, and we also become the spotlight, ma'am, nursing profession.
Yes. And 2020 was declared
the year for the
nurse by the World Health Organization. I think people have to see value in working in healthcare, especially being in nursing. There's so much you give back. Caring is the essence of life. It's the essence of humanity. What can be a better profession? And today, nurses are doing so well. And I'm sure the country will soon recognize this workforce and give it the best they can. I think it's a beautiful profession, and I'm never regretting that I dropped engineering and I moved into nursing.
Nursing, yes.
I have done well for myself, and I think I could be a role model there for people to
True, ma'am.
emulate.
You are a role model, and every people, even me, like I look forward, how you talk. I also try to, jot down when you speak, and oh, ma'am spoke this word. Is this like that? So for the viewers and for the future generation, like as ma'am correctly mentioned, there is no run out of job in healthcare professions, and especially for nursing professionals. So it is, never, we think it is a very challenging job, very tough job, but we can combat all the challenges by all those skills or like qualities which ma'am has mentioned, and we can be in the spotlight if we are knowledgeable, we are skillful, and we are competent enough. And ma'am have served the country especially in the nursing profession through various roles, academician, work in the military nursing services, corporate sector, everything, whereas many opt for going to abroad and serve there. So we can serve with our compassionate heart in our country, and our country is moving, it's already becoming a developed country. So I think we have a very, very better future with guide like Captain Dr. Usha Banerjee with us. She's a national figure, it can be a role model. So I think today from this discussion and from the podcast, we could draw many important points, ma'am, for the future generation as well as my colleagues, nursing colleagues across whoever is
Karishma,
watching.
I'd like to, since you mentioned about the abroad bit, I would like to come in here.
Yes, ma'am.
I've served the army. I have all my relatives from the army.
Yes.
My husband just retired as a serving officer from the Air Force. And I'm a patriot. I have never gone abroad, even though I left army at a very young age and I had opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud of my country. My country has seen tremendous growth. And it has today prominently put itself in the world's map as a healthcare destination for the world. So while I'm proud of my profession, I'm very, very proud of my country. And I know my country holds a lot of good in the next few years. And as we count down to celebrate 2047, which is 100 years of our freedom, I'm a proud Indian citizen. I have traveled many, many countries. But the way our country has moved forward is a story which can never be forgotten from history.
True, ma'am. True, really true, and we are really proud Indian and honored to be, serving here through this our profession. This is a very great profession where we can serve. Ma'am, coming to a conclusion of our discussion today, I hope this discussion will be meaningful for many many people who are hearing us, even not only for nursing. Many parents also will hear, who will think that okay, we'll put our young son or daughter in the nursing profession. So thank you so much for giving your time for this podcast and agreeing for this. You have a very busy schedule. I cannot buy all your time. It will not be fair. So ma'am, thank you so much for doing this with us, and it is going to be beneficial for our viewers. Thank you so much once again, and namaste.
Thank you, Karishma. Wonderful talking to you.
Thank you so much.
I'm very proud of you equally.